Now, the biggest global story today has been about Donald Trump. Attacker of Donald Trump has been identified as what we are told that he was a 20-year-old man, as he's been neutralized now. But the motive behind the attack is still not known. Here's a special report coming up, and just to tell you what precisely happened in the past few hours. Donald Trump was addressing an election rally, and ahead of the presidential election, this is a high-stake polls, remember. Amid this, when he was speaking, the shots were heard. And soon it was realized that Donald Trump also has been hit because he had a right ear bleeding. The Secret Service jumped to save him, put a ring around him, but he also then decided to stand up with a fist bump, said fight. There was, of course, a crowd cheering for him, but it's raised a lot of questions. What exactly happened? Here's a special report on that.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
On Saturday, a shocking and chaotic scene unfolded at Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The former US president, who's aiming at the top job again, was addressing a large crowd when multiple gunshots rang out.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump, mid-speech, instinctively touched his ear. A bullet had just ripped through his right ear. Panic erupted as Trump ducked for cover behind the stage podium. Secret Service rushed to shield him. More shots were fired, amplifying the crowd's fear. Shouts of panic filled the air as bodyguards crowded around Trump, ensuring his safety. Armed officers took strategic positions, swiftly covered Trump and rushed him off stage. In a dramatic moment, a bleeding Trump, his right ear visibly injured and face bloodied, raised his fist to the crowd, chanting "Fight, fight" at his supporters. Crowd in turn raised "USA, USA" slogans. Despite the chaos, his supporters kept chanting, refusing to let the violence dampen their spirit.
I'm very upset. I can't say for sure who's behind this, but I'll tell you what, it's only going to cause more division in this country because of the people that support President Trump. And it's only going to make people hate Joe Biden even more, whether he had anything to do with it or not, and whether the Democratic Party had anything to do with it or not. It seems that they'll do anything to remain in power.
The shooter was killed on the spot when Secret Service snipers fired back.
Take a look at what happened.
At least one attendee lost life and two others were critically injured in the shooting. The FBI has confirmed that this was an assassination attempt on the Republican presidential candidate.
It's still an active crime scene. As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. We also are working closely with other federal agencies, our state partners, and our local police partners as well. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification, and as soon as we are 100% confident in who that individual is, we will share it with the press.
President Biden has condemned the life-threatening attack on his Republican rival and predecessor.
The idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well.
Take a look at what happened.
The incident is under intense investigation, with the Secret Service formally notifying the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This harrowing event underscores the escalating tensions in the United States political landscape, given Trump's bitter rivalry with the Democrat camp.
They want to take away your rights. Well, I know that better than anybody. They want to take away my rights better than anybody.
Will this shooting have bearing on the US presidential polls just months away? With Lenka White in New York, Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today's managing editor Gaurav Sawant spoke exclusively to Republican leader Darius Mayfield on this foiled assassination bid and precisely what are the Republicans saying. Let's listen into this.
And Republican leader Darius Mayfield now joins me on the broadcast. Darius Mayfield, what's the latest that you can tell us from the Republican camp, the mood after this assassination attempt, and are you re-looking at your entire strategy in this presidential campaign?
Well, it's an honor to be here with you guys today. I'll answer your last question first. No, we're not looking to change anything. If anything, it's just going to make us more invigorated. It gives me more energy. As you guys know, it's pretty late out here, but I've been getting phone calls and text messages for the last 2 hours, or for the last few hours since this is broken. And, it's just really energized me because we see happening what the world now sees happening, what we've already seen happening for such a long time now. And that's people, espousing these things on one man, on Donald Trump and the Republican Party, and saying we're doing such things when they're really engaging in a lot of these criminal tactics, a lot of this bullying, a lot of just, espousing things on people that they're necessarily doing and, the other side isn't engaging in. But now the world gets to see it for themselves. This is a sad day. It's a sad day for America. I know there's a lot of emotions going through the community right now, from sadness, but also to jubilation, how President Donald Trump handled it. We saw that he jumped up, he put his fist in the air, he said, fight, fight. And it just shows you how strong of a man he really is, and what we've all seen and what we've all kind of admired over these last 8 years since he's jumped in the presidential race and, became president 8 years ago. So, it's a lot going on right now. The emotions are still raw, but I got to tell you, as far as my campaign, as far as I see happening, nothing much is going to change, man. We're going to be, as I said in my Twitter post, we are going to talk louder. We are going to, we're just going to rise up at this point because we have to take our country back. When things like this start to happen, this is indicative of a banana republic, not the United States of America that everybody has grown to love and admire, not only here at home, but around the world. So, we're going to take this in stride. I just urge calm among everybody. Let the FBI, let the Secret Service, let the Trump team handle what they need to handle as far as figuring out who this was, why this happened. And, we don't want to escalate the situation anymore.
Do the Republicans fear? Do the Republicans apprehend that this was laxity either on the part of the Secret Service or on the part of the Pennsylvania State Police, that somebody, despite eyewitnesses saying that the man with a weapon on that single-storied platform, yet he was able to target the presidential candidate?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we really don't know. I do know that those closest to the Trump team probably aren't saying much right now. So if you hear things from other people, honestly, we don't know what's true right now. They're keeping everything close to the vest right now. I've reached out to my people, but again, everything is close to the vest right now because this is a very sensitive situation. I know there's a lot of stories going around, and that's why I'm urging calm among everybody. Nobody knows what really happened. All we care about right now is that the president is safe. He jumped back up. He was cognizant. He was energized. And, we all love to see that, because had they actually succeeded in taking out the president of the United States, we might have been in a much darker situation right now here in America. So I'm glad that that didn't happen. And again, it's just going to invigorate us. You're going to see real resilience. And I believe that the only reason this is happening, like a lot of people, is because they've come to their wits' end and they understand that as of November 5th, 2024, Donald Trump will be elected president again, and as of January of 2025, he will take the White House back. And they understand that, they know that, and they're running out of options. And this is some of the stuff you're starting to see. Let's just hope it doesn't escalate from here.
So I can tell you that this is the biggest discussion point right now, both within the USA and across the world as well. Remember, this is, after all, the former president and possibly the future president as well. So here's a special report. What precisely happened, and who is this attacker? Now that he's been neutralized, will the real motive ever be known?
Take a look at what happened.
Donald Trump in crosshairs of a failed assassination. The Republican president candidate surviving with a bullet graze injury on ear. The attacker managed to kill at least one spectator and injure two. Before the attacker could have perfected his next shot at Trump, a roof-mounted sniper of Secret Service blew off his head. The attacker was positioned on the roof of a manufacturing plant located behind the audience stands and about 120 meters from Trump's stage outside the secure area. Moments before the attack, eyewitnesses had managed to spot the armed attacker crawling on the rooftop.
I'm very upset. I can't say for sure who's behind this, but I'll tell you what, it's only going to cause more division in this country because of the people that support President Trump. And it's only going to make people hate Joe Biden even more, whether he had anything to do with it or not, and whether the Democratic Party had anything to do with it or not.
The attacker hasn't been identified yet. However, he's a 20-year-old youth from Pennsylvania. He had an AR-15 semi-automatic gun, which was recovered from his blood-splattered body. The Secret Service had shot him in the head as soon as he started firing. FBI is still trying to ascertain the motive behind the attack.
At this rally, there were about 50,000 people. You go through a gun detector when you enter the rally. You have to wait several hours. According to the reports, this sniper, he was actually not within the parameters of the rally, but he was laying on a building, on top of a building overlooking the rally. And it's a massive security failure. I mean, they should have known, they should have checked it, they should be aware that there is such a possibility. So it's really questionable why it all happened.
This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene. As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification.
The incident has reignited debate about the security measures in place for former presidents and the political climate in the United States of America. Bureau Report, India Today.
And remember that USA has had history of assassinations, including of its presidents, and therefore this has been very concerning. All right, so there are some important questions that we'll be putting forth specifically on what precisely happened. The big question, of course, is what possibly could be the motive of the suspect attacker. He has been neutralized, and will that motive ever be known now? But was the attacker a lone wolf, acted by himself, or does he have any links that must be investigated right away? Was this about domestic politics, domestic political showdown, or is there a terror angle to this as well? What impact could the attack have on the upcoming president elections in the USA? Did US agencies fail to protect Trump? Because with Donald Trump as a former president and running for presidential elections, there has to be strict security. And one, is there a glaring intelligence failure? Did the information about some sort of a suspect there on the roof was received by the Secret Service and they ignored it? So that will be a big story, and we'll be constantly getting you details on this as well, because it's the big world story as well.